Hi everyone, so today I'm going to be telling you my story. So as you may have seen in my last video, my name is Kalia. I just finished school. I'm in the middle of my HSC. I love dancing and I suffer from severe Crohn's disease. I had always been a healthy child and hardly ever got sick up until 2008. All during that year I had lost a lot of weight, and in the middle of it I noticed some blood loss. My mum took me to a pediatrician, but by the time the appointment came around, the blood loss had stopped, so they just shrugged it off. By the end of that year I was ghostly white. I was lethargic. I was having dizzy spells and fainting. My mum put it down to me overworking myself in dance. When Christmas Day arrived, I slept all day, and that's when Mum knew something was wrong. So on Boxing Day she took me to the GP after hours service at the hospital. They took one look at me and rushed me straight to emergency. I was put straight in and they ran numerous tests on me. It took doctors about 15 goes to find a vein to take a blood test, and then I had to go through all of that again so they could hook in an IV. My blood pressure and oxygen saturation was very low, so I was put on. My blood count came back and my hemoglobin levels were 45. Just to give you an idea on how bad that really is, a normal person's hemoglobin level is 120 or around about that. Mine was 45. And doctors were amazed how I walked through the hospital doors and hadn't had a heart attack already, because adults go into cardiac arrest when their hemoglobin drops a bit to about 70. They ran tests on me for cancer and meningococcal disease, and they came back clear, which was good. Then I was admitted to the children's ward and given a blood transfusion. The day after I felt a lot better and had some energy to walk around. The day after that I was discharged without them knowing what was actually wrong with me. As soon as I got home I deteriorated rapidly, and on New Year's Day I was readmitted back into hospital and given another blood transfusion. By this stage my weight had gone from 60 kilos to 45 kilos. The question of IBD was then brought up by my mum, who has ulcerative colitis. There was no pediatric gastroenterologist at my local hospital, and the adult GI was on Christmas leave for 1 week, and I just couldn't wait that long. I was sent to Sydney in an ambulance, which is 3 hours away from my home. I saw the GI team, who didn't want to jump straight into Crohn's or ulcerative colitis, so they ran a Merkel scan and a few other tests, and they all came back clear. They then did a colonoscopy and endoscopy, and the results came back that I had Crohn's disease. Probable Crohn's disease. After that I had a lot of ultrasounds and CAT scans and a barium meal, which is disgusting. I had to drink this chalky white stuff, and then they took x-rays of my stomach to see how bad the extent was in my small intestine, which there was none there. My Crohn's is basically in my large intestine, and my first colonoscopy showed some inflammation in my stomach, but other colonoscopies have shown that there's none. I spent a month in Sydney Children's Hospital receiving IV medications and fluids and numerous amounts of blood transfusions. Being in a hospital 3 hours away from home was tough because I didn't have family there. I had my mum there, which was a great support, but I didn't have the rest of my family there, and I know that was hard on my little brother with my mum not being home for him, and friends couldn't come up to see me, and yeah, it was just hard. But I was thankful for friends that did actually come up and see me, come down and see me, and took the 3-hour journey to come see me. That was good. I made some great friends in that hospital going through the same thing as me, and if it wasn't for them and my family and friends who took the journey down to come see me, the Starlight Room, the great nurses and the clown doctors, my time in hospital would have been very depressing. During the middle of 2009 I was in remission, and I pretty much stayed that way up until the end of 2010. 2010 was basically the best year for me in terms of my illness. I was dancing 4 days a week, and on top of that I was doing competitive cheerleading with my school. Because of this, I think I was overworking myself, and I had a flare up at the end of the year, which probably was caused from the stress I was putting with myself. In December I was put back into hospital and given a blood transfusion, and I was put back on steroids, and I hate steroids, they make my face go. In January 2011 I had a colonoscopy and an endoscopy. This showed a lot of inflammation in my large intestine. During that hospital stay I was put on a new drug for me, and that was methotrexate. That's a low dose chemo drug that I received by injection every week. This kept my disease at bay for half the year, but before I knew it I was going to the toilet 10 times a day, I was losing a lot of blood, and all my symptoms came back, and I was just heaps sick, so I was put back on steroids, which made me go into remission until January 2012, and all my symptoms came back again. I had another colonoscopy in February 2012, and that showed the inflammation in my large intestine had gotten worse, and the question was then asked if it's actually Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis, which now I'm indeterminate Crohn's or colitis, so I'm not sure which one I have, but I just got Crohn's. And then there was talk of surgery, yeah, which I don't want. My specialist put me on infliximab, which is a infusion I get every 8 weeks. I was scared when I was first put on this because there's a lot of side effects. One is that you can develop, there's a high chance of you developing lymph node cancer. Yeah, but March and April this year were the worst 2 months like ever. I had so much time off school. I basically had all of first term off, which was hard because it's my final year of schooling and I missed that much school. But yeah, I was in and out of hospital, had blood transfusions, and I was so sick. Yeah. But by May, the infliximab started to kick in, and yeah, it was working. But I find with myself that I only get 6 weeks out of infliximab, if that, maybe a month. Yeah, so I have to bear with the last couple of weeks, but I'm thankful for the few weeks of normality I get from infliximab. I started my transition process at the start of this year, which has been a positive experience. Being in the adult system, there's more pathways, there's more revenue for more different treatments. Like in the children's hospital, there's infliximab is the last step before surgery, but in the adult system there's Humira, and I know kids have Humira, but my hospital doesn't like to give Humira to people under 18. So yeah, I want to go as long as possible without having surgery because I don't want a bag. So as far as my illness goes, this year has probably been the worst, just with all the time I've had off school and the severity of my flare-ups. So yeah, I was in my last year of school and I graduated in September. Somehow I kept up with all my work, even being sick. So yeah, that's my Crohn's story. I will do another video saying what I go through every on a day-to-day basis, because this is only touched on the big, the worst bits of my disease. But thank you for watching. Thanks for all the support that I'm getting, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye!